For those who haven't joined earlier, I'm regional manager for EMEA region. Natively, I'm from Ukraine and living in Poland for 6 years so far. And I want to welcome to our discussion. And today I have a privilege of moderating a distinguished panel of experts who have a wealth of experience and expertise in the finance industry. Peter Toman, Chief Risk Officer and Vice Chairman of the Board of Directors at MONETA Money Bank. Livia Hilmas, Head of Accounting, Tax and Risk Management Country Group, Romania, Moldova and Bulgaria and Bayer Company. And Dmitry Murdic, National Financial Director, CFO at Kuehne+Nagel. Their insights will provide valuable perspectives on challenges and opportunities presented by the entry of Generation Z into the workforce, as we'll explore the influence of young talent on companies, the radical differences between millennials and Generation Z, and the development of tech-savvy executives. Our panelists will offer their unique viewpoints based on their roles and accomplishments within their respective organizations. And in our increasingly dynamic and digitally driven world, understanding how the younger generation impacts the workplace is crucial for organizations to stay ahead. This discussion will help to deep dive into the innovative ideas, digital fluency, and distinct characteristics that Generation Z brings to the table, and we will explore strategies to attract, retain, and motivate young talent while developing the necessary skills and competencies for future leaders in the finance industry. Together, we will gain valuable insights into the evolving landscape of the workplace and discover practical approaches to harnessing the potential of Gen Z talent. So let's begin our engaging and enlightening discussion. Very first question about how young talent influences company. I want to ask, how have you observed the impact of young talent on the risk management practices and overall success of the company? Let's start with you, Peter.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. On this question, I think that it's very important to understand what risk the company is facing in the current environment, and the fact that the risks are changing significantly, and the fact that we are basically speeding up in the process of discovering new risks. We also need to adjust our hiring process to have people on board who not only understands the risk, but also are somehow familiar with the risk. So by that, I mean, if I take an example of a cyber risk, which is right now quite significant, and a lot of the CROs are actually mentioning this as a risk number one, which we will be facing in the near future. It's somehow tough to expect that people from the older generation will be able to work with such risks in a way that they will be able to capture the entire scale of the potential threats we are facing. So for that one, I think that it's extremely important to actually embed into the risk culture and risk organization people who are from the generation where usage of all the IT tools and the risks connected with usage of all the IT tools are natural for them. Because in case they will be not natural for them, it's going to be very tough to quickly adjust and mitigate all the risks. So that's, in my point of view, it's the very important aspect, and the fact that we need to consider, and that's why we need to work with the Gen Z.
Amazing. Thank you, Peter. Livia, please share your perspective.
Yes, and before starting, I would like to mention that I fully agree with what Peter has said, and maybe just a disclaimer before that. I would like to share that I work with Gen Z, but the Gen Z just at the border between millennials and Gen Z, you know, the ones that maybe they are contaminated also with some past influences. So my in interaction, you have to view it from this perspective. But I totally agree with what Peter has mentioned, and this influx of young talent can bring really fresh perspectives and innovative ideas in our risk management practices. And I'm saying this from the point of view that they often, not always, but they often tend to have better understanding on, like Peter has mentioned, cybersecurity, or Mariana has pointed out this sustainability, so the climate change risk, and also if we are speaking about social media risks and everything that comes with digital world. So from this perspective, the young talent could really come, and they are really coming and influencing, because we see a tendency to have everything on a click button, everything to be agile, fast, and so on. And they expect, and it's like we were discussing a lot about challenging the status quo, but they are coming like bam, like that. So they are questioning everything that when they are coming into the company. Why are you doing that? And so on and so forth. So from this perspective, really the companies should see this opportunity, and like any generation, of course, talents and some members that are putting a lot of effort, but companies should prioritize the professional development of young talent, because definitely they can benefit from the skills. And just maybe a very punctual example, so a real life example, and once again, the disclaimer, it's between the generations. I have in my risk management department a very young talent that we have recruited from the university. So she was in the first year in university, and we started with some internships, and in order to get some support during the summer. However, it turned to be a talented colleague with a promising future, and together with her, because it's a lady, we have developed nice tools. So we saw that there are, as I said, processes that were not necessarily agile, and we have shifted them from paperwork, decentralized, and so on, into digital tools. And the colleague has seen tremendous growth in the company. She's very well seen, and of course recognized for her input. So I have a very good example dear to my heart. So it started from my department, and yeah, I'm very glad that we have her in the company.
Great. Thank you, Olivia. Peter, could you please share your experience of this?
Greetings from my side as well, to my fellow panelists and to everybody joining the panel discussion. Well, I just want to touch a little bit on the general risk tolerance and the impact to risk management of the Gen Z. I think at the end of the day, they are not too much different than what we were when we were starting. So they don't have a lot to lose and they have a lot to gain. So they are quite more risk tolerant than we are, and sometimes don't see behind the corners as we do because of the experience. But at the end of the day, this is very valuable input, and the experienced senior manager can actually gain from listening the input given by the Gen Z in this more risk tolerant way. And the mixture of two opinions always gives the better decision at the end of the day. So the perspective is very much different for a reason, and that's completely normal. I think we had it as well when we were starting, and us as leaders, we just have to take it into account, and it's going to improve our decisions for the risk management of the company, definitely.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you. We'll bit already touched this, but still maybe we can talk more. How can companies leverage the digital skills and familiarity with technology that Gen Z brings to the table to drive digital transformation? Livia, maybe you can a little bit add to your previous point.
Yes. So what I can say that, of course, we all know that this Gen Z is the first generation that really grew up completely immersed into technology. The previous generation, the generation that I'm from, you know, we were just growing up in a world that the technology was developed, and of course there are some kind of differences. I would say that the Gen Z, although so they grew up, and I like very much what Mitar was mentioning, that it's not like there are so big differences and so on, and maybe we were also like that. I would say that what Gen Z has, it is a digital mindset from growing up with technology already done. Maybe not all have full digital skills, let's put it like that. I recently read a study that was done by Dell, covering 15,000 Gen Z participants within 15 countries, and they also, so although they have this digital mindset, they feel that they lack some of the skills. And here I do believe that also the university should do more for this area. However, what I'm trying to say is that the digital mindset is there. And of course, you, in any generation, you could have more skilled in technology and so on than others, but the digital mindset is there. And I do believe that this is the foundation of also what I was mentioning previously. And because, you know, this digital mindset exists, and everything, as I said, should be readily available, it should be viewed. Mariana was also mentioning that the data should be captured from different angles, and this aspect comes with Gen Z and the possibility to contribute. So really, companies should leverage, and I saw that a lot of companies are leveraging this mindset to drive transformation and remain competitive, because in the end, if you are not really that deep diving into technology, you are not competitive. And in finance, just very simple example, like, you know, in the past, somebody stood there, took invoices, physical invoices, and they inputted data by hand. This cannot be done because this is not, in fact, competitive any longer. We have robots for that one, and so on and so forth. So going in the digital mindset is absolutely essential, and young talents could help adopt this agile methodology, streamline processes, and also leveraging the technology that they understand best, like artificial intelligence. So this is my view on the digitalization.
Thank you, Olivia. Well said. Especially, I also like your point about universities, which also need to be in line with our current reality. Thank you. Peter, would you add on this point?
Yeah, I think that I would just follow on what Livia said with the mindset, with the digital mindset.
Seems we lost Peter for a moment. Maybe while Peter, yeah, please, Livia.
No, we were discussing about technology. You know, sometimes the technology is not, you are planning, but not always it works out. So flexibility, we should be flexible.
Yes, fully agree. So maybe we can be flexible and switch to Mitar. Meanwhile.
Yeah, before we lost Peter, I definitely heard him agreeing on the digital mindset of what Livia said, and it's definitely the most important when it comes to leveraging the technology and the knowledge of the Gen Z coming into organization. If I may add to this, something that I noticed plays a very interesting and important role is the simplicity of view the new generation have. So oftentimes, you know, when you're designing a new solution for your your process or for your department, and then you send it, for example, to legal or to compliance to check, and it returns 4 times lengthier and less elegant than you imagine it because of the procedures. So Gen Z have this very simple view on problems and on solutions as well. So oftentimes when they are fully involved in any kind of innovation or business development or marketing campaigns, they will propose a very simple, cost-effective, and solutions that simply work. So this digital mindset helps them to propose the solutions much simpler than people working for ages in the departments and teams of corporate firms. And as well, since they are fresh from the university, the improvisation and the low budget projects are their mindset still coming fresh from the university. And this really helps push through small improvements in the teams, in the efficiency of the teams, as well as bigger projects as well. So that's, I think, what they can bring to the table, definitely.
Thank you, Mitar. I like your point about the fresh view which they can bring, and especially interesting that it's very cost effective, which everyone would love to have, of course. We have Peter back.
Sorry for that. That's why we need the Gen Z, because if you don't have them, then you have this IT issue, which I just experienced. No, but coming back to what I wanted to say, hopefully it was not said by Mitar, but following what Livia said on the digital mindset, I think that this is the crucial thing, because for me, the banking products, we need the user experience of the employees with the products which we want to sell. And as we are approaching really the fully digital era, with people which are not surrounded with digital from day one, they born, and which don't have the digital mindset, it's very tough to give the user experience to the clients. One example for all. My boss, the CRO of the whole group, he's 60 years old, and he really does not have the digital mindset, and he's kind of an old-fashioned guy. And working in the digital bank, you know, without being surrounded with people which do have the digital mindset and are able to explain to him that actually the digital things are valuable for us, it would be really tough to move the company to the next level. So just by that example, you know, the excos, they sometimes do have a mindset that I know it all, and we actually need to convince them that with respect to the digital and with respect to the new technologies, they don't know it all, and we need to leverage from the UX and digital mindset, which does have the Gen Z.
Thank you, Peter. And I believe our audience would love to hear the radical difference between millennials and Generation Z. In specific, what are implications of Gen Z as a desire for work-life balance and flexibility on company policies and practices? Mitar?
Yeah, so work-life balance. If all of us don't have a good work-life balance, that's failure on us, isn't it? Not that Gen Z is asking for something more. I think it's more linked to a post-COVID time than the Gen Z, but they are actually entering the organization, so we are often automatically linking these requirements to them. But everybody joining the new organization will have certain expectations, let's say, when joining in post-COVID times. Certainly Gen Z helped push this norm, but also the circumstances were going into the favor of basically tipping the scale to more the approach that favors more the better work-life balance. But I think it's the responsibility of each individual to set the work-life balance for themselves, and also senior management to set it for their teams. As I said, certain things in last 2 years became a norm, and us in our organization certainly have to be aware of that and set the trends. So we shouldn't be stuck and say, now COVID is over, we go back to our own ways. The evolution of work is continuous, so we have to follow and not let being pushed by Gen Z or anybody else whatsoever. So set the example with yourself, with your team, and just follow the trends and set the new norms.
Well said. Thank you, Mitar. Livia?
So my view on this is, for sure, Gen Z places a high value on work-life balance and also on flexibility, especially on flexibility. And I will not repeat, because I totally echo what Mitar has mentioned. I will now focus on flexibility more. And what I see is that the Gen Z, although the pandemic started and so on, they have had more demands, and here I'm wanting to say, so it's not only about working from home or in a hybrid way, but they ask now to work from everywhere. And here, when I'm saying everywhere, is not within the boundaries of one state. So they would like to be like very, very free. So to have the liberty to move around based on their desires, and to work from everywhere. And with this working from everywhere also comes the flexibility in the schedule. 9 to 10, 9 to 5 is not working anymore for them. 9 to 10, 1 hour would be maybe, but so also from the location point of view, some differences in hours and so on, but really they want this flexibility to another level. Also, what I saw is that they expect that something should be changed in the working place related to the schedule, moving to the 4 days per week. So to have even more time for themselves with the work-life balance. So I do see that they are coming, and once again, it's not only Gen Z, because also the expectation comes from also the other ones, but I see that they are more vocal, let's put it in this way. And of course, some of their requests can be accommodated. Some, unfortunately, we need still to see the reaction of also implication, let's say, work from everywhere, implication from the tax perspective. The world is not ready now to work from everywhere. So there are limitations from this side. However, I do think that we are moving towards that direction.
Very insightful, Livia, especially from taxes perspective. That will be a big headache for everyone. Thank you. Peter, what is your view on this?
Oh, there is not too much to add, because Mitar and Livia summarized it really well, also with the examples. But maybe just one thing which we do experience, and where I see that we still need, or we are still not able to be on the same page as those who are approaching us recently from the market. And that's it's not only working from everywhere and working whenever you want, and basically adjust the working routines to what I like, not to what the company like, but also it's working from myself. Because what we are right now experiencing is that people don't want to use pen and paper. They don't want to sit in front of the laptop, because you need usually some connection from an external device. They want to either have a tablet or a cell phone from which they are able to basically manage everything. And yes, if you have a position where you can have calls and you can do stuffs which do not require some writing and managing stuffs in the systems, it's probably valuable. But if you really still need to use the computer for, I don't know, designing or coding or whatever, I think that on that one, this is exactly the border which we will probably never cross. But it's also this fact that basically working from your cell phone, from wherever and whenever, this combination is coming, and I'm pretty keen to see whether it's going to be successful, this working mode or not.
Many thanks, Peter. Next question is, Livia, how have you adapted your leadership approach to effectively engage and motivate Gen Z employees, considering their distinct characteristics and preferences compared to millennials?
Yeah, so here I think that there were some aspects done, but there are still to come. As you know, we are at the beginning of working with the Gen Z. However, in order to effectively engage and motivate them, we need to understand what are their desires, characteristics, and preferences. And of course, we already discussed about work-life balance and implementing hybrid or remote work and flexible times, so working at any hour, irregular hours, and so on. We even have a disclaimer: I'm sending this email whenever suits me. This doesn't mean that you should reply immediately, so we have implemented this as a corporate disclaimer. What I have noticed related to the Gen Z is also that they tend to look very often to quick growth opportunities, development opportunities, and they want to be mentored in an environment where they can advance quickly or they can receive ongoing feedback. And I do believe that in the last year, we have moved away from the annual goal setting with annual performance evaluation. You know that in the past there were very big annual events, let's put it like that, into a more agile approach in order to really satisfy the expectation of this generation and the expectation of the world as is moving forward. And we have now shifted from this annual recurrence to quarterly setting of goals with more check-ins and of course ongoing feedback. It was in any case, but really implementing the agile approach of things. After that, I said that they are looking for the quick growth opportunities, and here I'm referring to implementing as a company opportunities to learn and develop in a non-academic way, let's put it like that, in a more education shot, let's say like this. And we have implemented in the organization programs, unlimited access to learning opportunities like LinkedIn Learning, and the colleagues can really go and go tailored on what they desire to learn, having very short programs and yeah, going into the direction of growth on the moment. So offering them the possibility to develop, offering them feedback, offering them mentoring. This is what we were doing and I was doing with my team.
Thank you, Livia. Peter?
Yeah, I think that, for me, it's, and Livia mentioned it, it's for me, it's more from, giving, I don't want to call it orders, but giving tasks and hoping that it's going to be somehow, happening and people will know what they do, to giving tasks and then explaining what I want and then guiding throughout the process before we reach the period where the person understands the full process and somehow can work on their own. I think that for me, this is the biggest difference, because, you know, in the past days, or with the people who are older, from the older generation, we always wanted to prove that we know how to do things, and we've been more creative ourselves in delivering. However, the Gen Z, at least for me, they want to make sure throughout the process that they are doing how we expect, and hence they need the more direct approach and more direct leadership. I think that it's not a wrong thing. On the other hand side, you know, what I experience also is that once they achieve that they are able to work independently, they instantly think that that's the time to move on to the next career level. And there I'm also struggling, and I need to be really tough on explaining that, you know, you need to live it through before you can move on. And really, like, you know, being a CEO in 5 years, that's a fairy tale which you can see in the television, but in the real world, usually this is not happening unless you don't have your own business. So that's for me, like, you know, the change which I needed to do in my head to basically talk more. It sounds very easy, but it's like that. Talk more to the people and understand more how they feel at this very moment, and how they feel about the work they do in the very moment.
Thank you, Peter. Very insightful. So definitely agree on your points, and especially that they want to hear not only tasks, what to do, but they want to understand why it is needed. Thank you. Peter, what is your view on this?
Interesting to see that the companies are approaching and accommodating their needs in a very similar fashion, from quarterly review meetings and learning platforms, etc. We have something similar in place. But not to generalize too much, of course, there are low and high performers in each generation. But I would just focus a little bit on the higher end of performance when it comes to Gen Z. And what I noticed and what I really like is that they want and have a willingness to learn about the whole process, the whole organization in depth. So they are not afraid to change jobs very often. Not in terms of the company. I'm not talking a lack of loyalty here, but just willingness to risk it a little bit more, let's say, and change jobs within the organization to be able to learn more. And quite often they are very willing to enter even job rotation. So certain programs we created where the younger generation can enter into the job rotation and also location-wise rotate. And these people gain the knowledge about the business and about the organization much quicker through these ways, and are able to contribute in a more value-added way before compared to if they were just sitting in one place and doing one job. So from my side, the job of the leadership is to listen, to hear these needs, to try to accommodate if your organization is big enough, is flexible enough to accommodate something like this. Because at the end of the day, by doing so, you're creating some future leaders, right? You're creating people that will lead your company in the next years. So it's very, very nice to see and very reassuring from my perspective.
And the next item which I want to talk about is when we talk about tech-savvy executives, what specific skills and competences do you believe are crucial for developing tech-savvy executives in the finance function? And how does the company facilitate their growth in these areas? Meter, maybe let's start now with you.
Yeah, specific skill for the tech savvy executive. I think that there is no specific skill. So there is a set of skills certainly that is more handy or more useful than the others. But I think the recipe for staying up to date in general, so not only tech savvy, so in innovation, human relationship, market, business as a whole, and tech as well, is just stay curious. Like when you were a child, be curious about new things, be curious about changes, and be very, very well informed. So that doesn't mean you just follow the latest accounting updates and standards published in your country or worldwide. I mean, in general. So people are doing wonderful innovations and changes around the world across industries. So one innovation in an industry completely not related to yours might trigger a very nice idea to implement in your team, your company, your industry. So be curious and very, very well informed are two things that I find crucial in staying relevant in general. And at the end of the day, as an executive, you have to have free time. Free time is very important. To have free time to think, to draw your future strategies, to think through your future moves. If you're fully operational, have no free time, then you're never going to be a leader of a future. You're going to be stuck in a pile of work of present and never be able to build a company of a future. You as a leader, your job is to create a free time for yourself, to create a team that is self-sufficient, and then only then you can contribute in a proper manner as a senior leader. So that's in general, maybe not so specific skill, but general set of skills.
But still, I believe very good points. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Peter?
I would just add to what Mitar said, delegate, because if you will not delegate, you will have not the free time, and you have to trust the people you are surrounded with, and you have to trust the data which you are working with. And as I mentioned in one of my previous answers to one of the previous questions, as an executive, you cannot have the mindset that you know it all, because that will basically kill you, because you will be trying to be in control of everything, and this is not the leader of the future. You really need to trust and delegate, otherwise it's not going to work.
Fully agree. Livia?
I'm thinking what to add, because what can be further done. Of course, I totally agree that you need to be curious and to explore what is happening. It is very important to be mindful of the role of the technology plays in the area that you are acting. You need to have time to think for the future. You need to delegate. So these aspects are essential. Maybe I can add, you need to be connected, networking. Find time to network. Networking can be a very insightful mechanism that, you know, can have an important effect on the future, and how do you see the operation, the vision, and so on. So networking, I do think that it should be a skill for the leaders, and it should take advantage to the fullest.
Brilliant, thank you. And very last question on my list, and we're a bit overrunning, so I would ask you to be short if possible. What initiatives have you implemented to foster a culture of continuous learning and upskilling among your team members, particularly in terms of leveraging technology and digital tools? Peter?
For me, it's the knowledge sharing of the team members to the others, because you know, if you have people who are willing to share and understand something what the other team members don't, it's always good to, you know, develop or also their knowledge sharing skills by just sharing with the group of people they know, and by that we're able to develop people who are not afraid to talk, to stand up and show what they can do and what they can bring to the table. So for me, that's the point number one, which I'm trying always to implement.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, well, in order to create a culture of continuous learning and to create this motivation, at the end, as the end result, you have to reward and recognize skill. So yes, we earlier mentioned we did also as an organization implemented industry-leading platforms that are allowing our team members to have full access to online courses and learning sessions. And I think very important is that not really related to the business they are doing. So in general, I just said in the previous point, be curious. So we are valuing people that are curious, and they don't necessarily have to learn about their current job, but the wide knowledge will give them a perspective, and this is what we are valuing. So language courses, learning platforms, cross-skilling as well. If anybody have a will to do cross-skilling and is interested to learn what other team members are doing, we are promoting this, and also international career opportunities. Whoever feels flexible to explore our wonderful world through our company, we are embracing. So these are all tools we are actively using. Somebody prefers one over the other, but it's important that at the end of the day, you recognize and you reward somebody who is willing to learn, and somebody who is motivated and self-motivated to learn.
Well said. Thank you, Mita.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and because we had we already discussed with Mitar, so we had more or less the same project in our companies. Maybe I would add some more that were not discussed. I'm not saying that they are unique, but and related to the skills that Mitar was mentioning, maybe not necessarily in your area. We have implemented a very cool platform with projects that offers the possibility of employees to apply for a short-term assignment in the sense of working for another department. And there you have, it's an online platform. Any department can introduce their projects with some descriptions and how much time would you see that you need to allocate 10%, 25%, 50% of the resource time and so on. And with this, what we have in mind is really to upskill cross departments. So to have these talents have access to real life development besides the theoretical one with the online platforms for learning, but also real life experience in also other areas. And this is one. We have also implemented an advisory board panel concept of young talents, advising more senior leaders on topics, general topics that could, sharing their unique view on different aspects that are running in the company. And I don't know if Mitar or Peter was mentioning, when you have two ideas, for sure, out of these two ideas put together, it will come the best idea in the end. So these are just few examples. We have more because we are very passionate about this. And of course, we still have a lot to do. So we are in progress with but what I would like to say is that really continuous learning and upskilling is crucial in today's environment.
Great. Many thanks, Livia. With this, in closing our panel discussion on the younger generation, Gen Z, as they enter the workplace, has provided valuable insights into the impact of young talent on companies the distinct differences between millennials and Gen Z, and strategies for developing tech-savvy executive. I want to thank you, our esteemed panelists, for sharing their expertise and perspectives, and I hope that the discussion has provided valuable guidance for organizations navigating the challenges and opportunities of the modern workplace. Let us embrace the potential of Gen Z and work together to shape a future of innovation and success.